Okay, Ben. So the question of why does my swing feel so good in the cage and then I get out in the game and I feel like I'm having trouble having success on the field? Really common issue. I definitely dealt with it at certain times during my playing career. Like, ton of guys struggle with it. Really common. Doesn't make you weird at all to be like, okay, like I'm crushing the ball in the cage. Why is that not translating to the field? So some different things that I've figured out as a player and some things that I tell guys that really seem to help them. I'm going to cover those in this video. So really two key things is number one is mindset. And number two is like, what does your training, what does your hitting routine actually look like? Is it preparing you for the field? So the first piece, as far as mindset goes, I think that a really big thing that changes once you get in the game is that there's pressure added. There's stakes to what you're doing. Whenever you're in the cage, you're hitting, say you roll over on a ball, it's no big deal. Nothing negative happens as a result of you rolling over on the ball. And then you can make an adjustment, just hit the next ball hard, So it's good in the practice setting because the stakes aren't as high and you can learn. But once the game is out there, like that's a completely different environment. So that's a big reason why it's more difficult. And that's just the nature of it. The stakes are elevated once you're in the game. So really it becomes a question of how do I perform with the stakes being elevated? And it's the same thing like for me, even though I don't play anymore, like I go golf sometimes and on the putting green before I go out for a round, I guarantee you like I'm making a lot more, like I'm making tough putts, this and that. And then I go out there to play my round and like maybe there's like $1 on it per hole or my buddy's trash talking me a little bit. It's a lot harder to make that same putt that I was just doing over and over again right before. And that's because the stakes are different. And it's the exact same way with baseball. Again, like you roll over in the cage, it doesn't really matter, but then you roll over in the game. Maybe that's a double play that ends the game, or maybe that's a double play that like really kills a rally. Maybe you swing, you strike out for the third time that day. So like the stakes are elevated. So really, how do you perform with stakes elevated? So the best way I've found to do this is if you can focus on the inputs, that's going to lead to a better outcome. And then if you focus on the outcome rather than the inputs, that's going to lead to a worse outcome, right? So the outcome absolutely matters. It matters whether you get a hit or not. It matters in terms of winning the game. That much is obvious. But if you're so focused on the outcome, you're thinking about like, oh, I hope I get a hit here. Haven't gotten a hit in a while. Like I need one really bad. Or you're worried about like your last at bat. You're worried about proving the coach wrong, whatever the situation might be. If you're focused on the outcome, that's going to take your focus away from what actually matters, which is the input. And the input is being focused on each pitch, taking a good swing, making good swing decisions like that. So really the best way to shift your mindset is focus on the input. The outcome matters, so we want to make adjustments based on the outcome, but shift your focus to the input. Anything you're thinking about that isn't getting in rhythm and seeing the ball well and being loose and confident is going to be wasted. Those three things are going to lead to the most success for you in the box. Being in rhythm, timing is everything as a hitter, right? Seeing the ball. If you can't see the ball, you can't hit it. You're going to make terrible swing decisions if you're not seeing the ball well. And then third is being loose and confident. If you're up there tense, it's going to be hard to get a good swing off. You got to be confident with it. So really shift your focus to those things. Like here in the box, try to focus on getting in good rhythm with the pitcher, seeing the ball well as it's coming in, and then taking your best, most aggressive swing. And then if you can take care of those three things, the outcome is going to sort itself out. And then you can make adjustment. Say if you get an outcome that you don't like, make an adjustment for the next time you come up, right? Say you go up there, you're blown away by fastballs. Next time you go up, maybe you're starting a little bit earlier and you're making an adjustment that way. Oh, I want to catch it out in front a little bit more this at bat. So making adjustments like that is key. But say you get an outcome you don't want, worst thing you can do is get emotional about it. Oh, I'm a terrible hitter because X, Y, and Z happened. I grounded out. Like I'm a bad teammate. Like I didn't help us win. Like that's not going to help the next time you go out be better. You got to look at it from a non-emotional standpoint. Make an adjustment to what happened. So some common adjustments to make. Say you're getting beat, be a little bit earlier, start earlier, catch it out in front more. Or say you're swinging out a lot of curveballs in the dirt, that way you're going to make better swing decisions that way. Say you're rolling over it on it all day, really focus on catching the inside part of the baseball. So you're making adjustments to the baseball rather than thinking about the outcome whenever you're up there. So those are different ways to make adjustments, but really if you can focus on the inputs, that's going to lead to a lot better outcomes for you on the field. So that's the biggest thing I would say. That's really what good mental toughness is your ability to disregard the outcomes or the potential outcomes and focus on the inputs that lead to those good outcomes. So that's really important. Definitely, that's what I would say for the first piece. And then the second piece is like, what does your cage routine look like? Good example I love giving is like, imagine you have like some really hard math test coming up in a week or so. It's like calc or it's trigonometry or something that I would fail. But say you want to feel good for that math test or whatever. You want to have some feel good study sessions, right? So you're doing 2+2 every single day and you've got 2+2 locked in. You're never getting it wrong. And while you feel good and you feel confident, like, is that really preparing you to go achieve this difficult thing? Hitting is really hard, like hitting in the game, hardest thing in sports. So I feel like where a lot of guys go wrong and where I went wrong a lot is I was too focused in my cage routine of my swing feeling good or the outcome feeling good in the cage. And then you go out there, you've been doing 2+2 for a week. You go there to the game and it's calc and it's way harder. So you got to adjust the way your hitting routine is. So some different ways you can adjust that is get a good feel off the tee, get a good feel off of front toss or flips or whatever, or BP, and then go challenge yourself. Machine is a really good way to challenge yourself. If you're struggling hitting the fastball, get your good swing feel on tees and flips, then go take it to a fastball machine and see some pitches that are going to be even faster than what you're going to face in the game. And that's going to challenge your swing, and you're going to learn a lot more, and you're going to develop a lot more as a hitter, having a little bit of challenge rather than just feel good rounds off of loopy BP, feel good rounds off of front toss and stuff. I'm not saying never try to work on your swing, because the tee and flips are great for learning new movements. But once you have a feel for those movements, go challenge it with that. Or say you're really struggling with breaking balls. This pitcher that you're going to face has a really good breaking ball. Set up the machine to have it even nastier breaking ball than what he has. Catch some barrels off of that. That's going to teach you, and then you're going to be able to learn that way. So that's the biggest thing I would say is try to get away from the 2+2. Get into more of actually studying for that calc or actually studying for that trigonometry, because baseball is not easy. It's not easy to go hit. So you need to challenge yourself in the cage. And by no means am I saying just wear yourself out for hours in there, but make it challenging. Get some good swing feels, go challenge it. You'll learn a lot more doing that. And then another thing I really see that is a big issue for guys is you're taking these rounds that are not game like at all. You're taking or just hypothetical person, not saying that you are for sure, but I'm saying say if I was going in there and I was taking BP rounds that are like 20 pitches long, you're going to see like 5 to 6 pitches per at bat if that's a long at bat, so really you got to be able to execute in 5 to 6 pitches. You're not going to be able to continue to have the pitcher throw you stuff until you figure your swing out. So what I think is a lot better is like shorter, more focused rounds. If you can't execute in 5 to 6 swings in BP or in flips or whatever, take a break, end that round, get some space, and then you can think about it a little bit. Think about how you're going to adjust your input or your focus, or how you're going to make an adjustment on the ball to get a better outcome, and then you'll come back to it. And that'll lead to a lot more success, and that's a lot more game-like for you. And also you're building bad habits by those long rounds and stuff. I'm really against them, if you can't tell. But shorten up your rounds is basically what I'm saying there. So that's what I would say. Hitting in the game is hard. It's way different than hitting in BP or in practice. So those are the things that I would say. Number one is mindset. Focus on the inputs. What are the inputs that are going to lead to good outcomes for you? Being in rhythm, seeing the baseball, being loose and confident. Focus on those 3 things. That'll give you a better shot to have a good outcome. Then say you don't get an outcome you want, make an adjustment to the baseball. If you're rolling over on everything, hit the inside part of the ball more. If you're getting blown up by fastballs, start earlier. If you're swinging at curveballs in the dirt, let the ball travel more. So those are kind of the simple things, but you can make adjustments as you need as far as that goes. And then as far as like your hitting routine, you need to prepare yourself to hit on game day. Hitting on game day is challenging. Your practice should be challenging as well. So what does that look like? That looks like getting a good feel whenever you're off the tee and you're off flips, but keep rounds short whenever you're hitting flips or loopy BP or whatever. If you can't execute 5 to 6 swings, no shot you're going to execute in the game. So get out of there, reflect a little bit, then go back in, and then you'll be able to make adjustments that way. And then take your swing that you've got in your feels and then go challenge it with something that's giving you trouble. So like fastball machine, crank that thing up, make it difficult. I'm not saying it make it 105 miles per hour because you're not going to face that. But like if guys are throwing you like upper eights, lower nines, like maybe you see some 95. Like that'll prepare you really well, and it's not so outrageous that it's not game like too. So that's important. And then like breaking ball machine is really important too. If a guy has a good breaking ball and that's something you struggle with, set up the breaking ball machine, understand what pitches are hittable, what pitches you need to take. But that's a little bit long-winded, but that's what I'd say as far as like to the question of why can I hit in the game but I can't hit in the cage? Why can I hit in the cage but I can't hit in the game? You know, make those adjustments. I think those would help you a lot. Definitely mindset and definitely the way you structure everything. But let me know what your takeaways here are. I think this will be super helpful for you. Definitely something that helped me a lot as a player. But keep me updated if you have any questions or anything.